This is episode 9. I am your host, Reggie. Still getting over the pneumonia. I'm joined by
That's your
my
name now.
pneumonia.
Getting over pneumonia.
I'm your host, Reggie. And today I'm joined by my co-host, Jabe Black of Gilgamesh.
Howdy.
Jin Woo of Gilgamesh.
What's up?
Toasty Rage of Gilgamesh.
Hello.
And Sora Bell, the Keyblade wielder, will join us soon. But he's got some IRL stuff he's taking care of. But he will be here shortly. Today's episode is for the hosts. It's kind of a surprise episode. Only Toasty really knows what it's about. Today's we're going to do an episode of Dr. Reggie. It's a little therapy session where I'm going to let you guys get all of your gripes and angst and anything you want out onto the stream. Just so that we can get all that aggression out before Shadowbringers comes out. And I know you guys have been dealing with a lot of interesting people. And so this is your opportunity. No doxing, nothing like that. Just tell us what's bothering you, and we'll go from there.
I'll tell you what's been bothering me. I have no fucking PC for the last fucking 4 weeks.
Oh yeah, that's probably helpful.
So I haven't had time to be bothered by the entire community at all. It's kind of liberating. Yeah, it's pretty liberating when I think about it.
So
anything else?
Well, I mean, that really, really does suck. And hopefully we can get that resolved quickly so that you can join us for early access.
Hopefully.
Speaking of which, at the end of the show, once everybody's done saying their piece, I'd like to go over some quick health tips because early access is coming and you want to be physically and mentally prepared. So go ahead.
Yeah.
Toasty, why don't you start us off and tell us about your recent experiences with the community?
Well, over the last, I want to say about 3 weeks now, I've been leveling an alt to prepare for possibly selling content. But my main issue with the recent community that I've come in contact with is the absolute just refusal to read tooltips. The refusal to actually do their job in a meaningful manner. And anytime I've said anything to give tips, I'm basically greeted with extreme rudeness. And I don't want to like point fingers and say like, oh, this is all WoW players and like all that stuff. But it is definitely a newer community that I'm coming in contact with. It's mostly all new players or returning players with very inexperienced accounts. And
What have you been doing?
I've just been leveling healers mostly. And a lot of my I was gonna say a lot of my gripes have to do with tanks because that's kind of what stands out in my mind the most is these tanks. If you ask nicely for them to pull big, they're usually, they'll oblige, but that does not mean they will cool down. They absolutely do not use cooldowns. The amount of people I've seen that actually pull big pulls in dungeons and then do not use cooldowns, and then on one pull they will literally slam every single cooldown at once. I have seen so many tanks do this strategy, and it fucking blows my mind every time. And I tell them, like, you need to spread out your cooldowns. They're like, oh, I fucking panicked. I was like, you panicked and hit every button? Like, every single button? Like, that doesn't make any sense to me. Somebody actually said he
Somebody
panicked and
needs to
hit
tell
every
him
button.
about diminishing returns.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know. It's been really rough, and getting DPS to use AoEs has been all but impossible.
Oh yeah.
It's been really rough experience leveling.
So you've been doing mostly like MSQ dungeons, or just like?
Just regular leveling dungeons. I got through all of the MSQ, so now I was just leveling all of the healer classes on my alt. So it's just been regular leveling dungeons, and
Yeah.
it's been really bad.
That sucks.
If I think there's like certain scenarios that'll probably pop up in my head that I'll mention throughout the podcast, but that's just like my starter conversation piece, I guess.
I am a little worried for the tanks that are not really kind of getting with it with the cooldowns. You know, like
Yeah, like Jabe said in that one argument, like they need to start learning to use cooldowns.
Yeah, I mean, what you're saying just sounds like inexperience to me.
Well, even
So,
when you do mention like spread out your cooldowns, I mention like for every pull you should have at least one cooldown, whether that's a big pull, a small pull, you should have at least one cooldown in your back pocket. If you don't, then I understand. But not hitting any cooldowns from boss 1 to boss 2 and in between boss 2 and boss 3, like that's unacceptable in my opinion.
yeah.
I am worried. I'm worried for the players that are, they're level 70 and they haven't really quite gotten with it with the cooldown stuff because
Mm.
you know, from what I understand, and maybe I'm wrong, but the expansion is going to require you to be a little bit better with your cooldowns. And that's going to be rough.
Yeah, I think there will be a necessity for tanks to understand cooldown usage better. At least that's my hope. But at the same time, I'm kind of interested to see how this launch goes. I'm not specifically talking about early access. I'm talking about the leveling dungeons and the MSQ. The MSQ and the leveling dungeons are basically the same thing. I'm interested to see how they go with all the people coming in from WoW, right? So from the last two expansions, most of the player base that have been coming in at launch have been veteran players, right? So most people knew what they were doing when they were going through the MSQ dungeons. But now we have an influx of players coming in that may not know like what to do, and they may have gotten a jump potion, which I'm okay with jump potions and stuff, but at the same time, like as Toasty was saying, you need to do some research,
Yeah.
understand what you're supposed to do with what you got. And it can be pretty overwhelming. You come in with a jump potion and you have a full level 70 rotation that you have no idea what to do. You have all of these abilities, you have all these traits, and then you don't really know how the operation of tanks and healers and DPS work in this game because it's slightly different,
Yeah.
from other games.
Well, and I know
So,
I know that like a lot of people are turned off by like I have to go to Reddit to play this game well. But it's not just that. It's also, being respectful, and when people are like, "Hey, maybe this would help." Not being like, "I know what the fuck I'm doing. No one's dead, right? No one's dead, right?" Because
Yep.
the healer's fucking out of MP because they've been, doing their damnness to keep everybody, afloat. But it's like, it's an MMORPG. We all need to communicate like adults. Maybe that's a problem, is that we've got a bunch of kids playing the game now.
like actual kids or adult kids? Because
I don't know a
Both.
single underage person who plays this game.
they exist. They're out there. I know I've read stories about kids and their parents playing the game together and stuff, but I would assume if there's a kid playing the game that there's people that they know
Well,
So
the majority of the people who play this game are like people from FF11 who were kids back then, and now they're adults now. People who are nostalgic with this entire franchise too.
yeah.
They grew up with it, and they just stayed on 14 because it's just
Well,
one
a
huge.
lot of those people have kids now, right? And they play with them. It's like so, which is pretty awesome, you know. But at the same time, you know, so you got these people coming in. I'm assuming the people coming in are at least adults, you know.
Yeah.
Because I don't expect a lot of new players to be kids, you know. But I expect most of them to be adults because one, you got to pay a sub, so you got to have money income, unless you're a little rich kid, you know, which might contribute to the problem, you know. But I won't be too harsh on the little rich kids, but
It's toxic, Jay.
I'm just saying, maybe a little entitled, maybe just a little bit. But
I had simply told somebody to just spread out their cooldowns, and then somebody had looked into my alts like search info, and at the time I only had Astro to 70, and they're like, a new player with only one level 70 character telling a tank how to tank. It's like I was giving absolutely sound advice, like just spread out your cooldowns.
I would assume that anybody who has a sprout like at this point, I don't ever assume like someone's like brand new. Like I always, because there's been so many people who have alts and stuff like that. So just from my own experience.
Speaking of which, are you guys excited for the first time?
Oh yeah.
Do it.
Oh, it's still going on. Don't worry about that.
What I really love is the first time, but they stand in like the dumb shit, and then they're like, "I told you it was my first time."
Oh no, the best is the guys who get the stack marker and just sprint away from the group. That is my favorite thing about every new content.
I saw someone do that the other day.
I have not wanted anybody to be that retarded. Yes.
My personal favorite is the first time content's new, so I don't know what a stack marker does.
Oh yeah.
That's my personal favorite.
Let's see. It's a circle around you with arrows pointing at you.
It's in a new fight, so it's different, I swear. It doesn't do the same thing.
I mean, let's be honest. The first time we saw that thing, we were like, you need to stack it.
It's not even that.
The very
right?
first time, I was like, that's a stack mechanic.
Because stack markers are universally the same 99% of the time throughout the game, right? A new fight, they use the same markers in indications. Why would that change?
Let's just go back to Siren's song to see. I'm gonna be honest. When he fought the what's his name, the governor, and he's got that black tether on you, I don't know to get the fuck away. I didn't know that until I actually got the fuck away.
Oh yeah, a lot of people don't know that either. Dude.
Well, that's not something you can just guess on the fly.
You learn real quick when that happens because you're like as soon as you stay close to him, 5 seconds, you know, like you're dead, like 10 seconds. And you're like, well, staying close to him didn't work.
Yeah.
So
also,
I kind of never done that mechanic before.
I also kind of miss the mechanic that makes you face a certain direction and makes you go in that direction.
Oh yeah, the last boss.
From that one last boss and into Telekinesis, it was just never revisited again. Oh well, there was Susaku, but you know
that mechanic is awesome.
It makes you pay attention to things.
Hell yeah, dude! It puts a little thing and it says, "This is what's gonna happen in 5 seconds." Okay. This is what's gonna happen.
I love when people die too. It was in another fight too, wasn't it? I can't remember which fight.
There. Oh, it's hey Sif, I woke you up.
Asshole. Oh my god!
I should kill you.
You know that we do this every week.
I had a Bardam's Mantle last week, which was amazing because both of the DPS didn't know that the Sunner was safe, so they were just running circles around the outside of the arena the entire time.
Sounds about right.
That's
DPS.
Okay.
So
that's okay. I did a healing roulette earlier, and the tank was stealing, or not a leveling roulette, and the tank was doing the level 61 dungeon with I-200 gear. He was literally getting one shot by auto attacks.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
So, Sip,
Man mode.
so
Oh yeah, that one dungeon yesterday. Was it yesterday? It took I ended up leaving. What was it? I forgot.
Oh, you're
what it
toxic
was.
for sure.
No, that monk's gear broke on the second boss. We wiped on every single boss in this dungeon. And it was Belser's Wall.
See, I was good enough to carry my group.
Oh.
Wow.
Good
Again,
job.
I was playing white mage, so it made everything a little bit
Yeah,
simpler.
you were playing white mage.
Yeah.
Scythe and Sora, we're basically we're having a therapy session. So I'm handing the mics to you guys, and you guys are gonna get out all your aggression before the X Pack.
Sora definitely needs a therapy session.
Pardon me?
In TLDR, we're bitching about what's to come, and before we leave it behind.
What's to come is a bunch of salt on the forums on the freaking 28th about people not being able to get into the servers because freaking 1.5 million people want to jump on the servers all at the exact same goddamn time when the servers can only hold 10,000 people.
We were mostly targeting newcomers.
Oh,
well,
no,
that was
those,
Toasty, right? That was Toasty's.
those people should stay in ARR away from Shadowbringers so we don't have to deal with their bullshit. Which is one reason, which is why I'm glad the jump potions are staying at level 60. And they can only skip the Heavensward story, not Storm.
Oh, they're not going into
That's
Shadowbringers?
not true at all.
That's not what they said. They said those were going to 70.
Yeah, they're going to 70, bro.
Oh shit.
They didn't say that.
Yeah, they did.
When?
Recently,
During the live letter?
Which one?
The first one.
On the
one
28th,
when we learned all the jobs action skills? That one.
They didn't say the jump potions were increasing.
Yeah, they did.
No. Well, either way, they gave a discount on the all jump potions because they're gonna come out with the new ones anyway.
Yup.
You can what?
There's a discount on the old jump potions right now, 60%
I thought you were
off.
saying there was like an all jump potions bundle.
No.
About to fucking shit myself. Like,
I hope they're
Please, God, no.
still one per account. I hope that changes. I mean, I know it shouldn't, but
Isn't it one per count per server?
I think it's like
no,
per character.
it's not one. It's not one anymore. They increased it. They kept it one at the start because they didn't know how people were going to be using them.
Yeah, they limited it only at the start. It's unlimited now because I bought jump potions for my characters on Hyperion.
So you can jump a bunch of jobs on one character now.
Yeah, I jumped all 3 of my tanks on my alt on Hyperion because I wasn't going to
shoot.
go. I wasn't going to go through fucking ARR and Heavensward again. Bullshit.
Actually, I may if they're gonna because they might relimit it right at the beginning of Shadowbringers. It
Most likely,
might be a good idea to buy them if you want to get alts up because otherwise you'd have to start from level 1, right? But you can only get if they limit it to 1 in Shadowbringers, you can only get 1 to 70. But if you get some now, you could get multiples to 60.
Yeah. The thing is though, like the discount isn't that big. The level 60 one's only discounted by the jump to level 60 is only discounted by $5. The biggest discount is the skip the AR quest line down from 18 to 16 or 18 to 6. Only costs like $6 right now.
The storyline one.
Yeah, skip ARR storyline is like $6.
Yeah.
I think is like the best one.
Don't get that one. Get the
Heavensward
normal one. Yeah.
I want to bring it back a little bit. I think that one of the saving graces because we're all getting on 0 hour and we're gonna do the best we can to get through the queues and whatnot. But I think a saving grace for people that are going to start right away is that a lot of the newer players that are struggling and kind of making things difficult, they're gonna lag behind. So we're not gonna see too much weird stuff until maybe like a week later.
Yeah. I think if you try to like when we get to normal and savage, or even the extreme primals, if you see the pugs the initial week, the pugs are probably going to be good, but afterwards, it's just kind of like how it's always been. And I think it's going to have a steeper drop because of that lag of people, like people not knowing how to progress through the game either. Like you want to do the MSQ fairly quickly, even if you're watching it. You just want to focus on the MSQ as much as possible.
Well, I mean, this is why I was an advocate for gated content, like getting content that you have to progress through to get to the stronger, harder level content. I hated the fact that like you could practically skip a bunch of shit and just go straight into the raids without actually having to like progress your skill level up.
I mean, that there is no sort of content in this game that does that sort of thing, like at all.
Well, no,
you could argue that that's what normal modes are supposed to do, but do they?
No, they don't. You barely even have to touch the normal modes. You can practically AFK the normal modes, and the 7 other people will clear it for you.
Let's just go back to the Royal Menagerie when a lot of people were complaining that they could not do the fucking fight. When it's like,
oh yeah, fucking.
That's because people didn't know how to move out of fucking AOE.
Exactly.
Big shiny object, move.
They were not familiar with the mechanics. They were not familiar with the mechanics that we've seen for the entirety of 2 expansions. And
no. Okay, here's my thing.
Potions.
You still have new players who get at level 70, get the fucking stack icon, and run away from the entire group. And you're like, what the fuck are you doing? What the fuck are you doing? Or they get the single target icon, and they run to the tank like a fucking crazy idiot, and they're like, suicide bomber!
Wow. They don't even have their...
boy.
They don't even have
Oh
their
my
AFK,
god.
dude.
Like, you still get people that, when they purposely remade all the icons to be universal. So like, this icon obviously means stack icon for the rest of the freaking time in its existence. I can understand if it was harder back in ARR and Heaven's Ward, where all those icons were all totally fucked up and each one was always a goddamn different thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. No. It's just the biggest problem with new players are the new players who are unwilling to learn and understand the game and expect to be told and have their hand held. Those players I just boot from my party immediately. It's like, no, you're useless. Get out. Okay. You don't want to learn to play. You don't want to learn to play the game. You don't want to take my advice. You're wasting my time and my money.
Well, I mean, some people learn the game by playing the game, right? It's a slower process, but they still eventually. So.
I mean, I'll say this, like, while I won't be as crude about it as if there is something to be said about offering someone advice and them like being purposely ignorant to it for the sake
like
of
excuses, like making excuses and shit.
Just stubborn as hell.
Like,
yeah,
I'm instructing you on how to do this so that we could get through it. I'm not telling you how to play your game. I'm just saying, like, there's a process that we should be doing to get through this for the sake of everyone's time here. Nobody realistically wants to be here in a normal mode. In the trial that you queue through and the roulette for 30 minutes because you got to learn blind. You know what I mean? Like,
it's the reason why mentor roulettes or mentors in general just have given up being what a mentor is supposed to be because, well, no one really takes their advice. They kind of just... I think my most successful mentor roulette ever was when I got Mog Extreme and I managed to get all 7 people who were brand new to the fight through it in about 45 minutes. That was my grace. And I was like, oh my god.
Extreme version?
Yeah, extreme version. So like they didn't understand the idea of like you actually need to hold DPS and can't kill things fast. And I'm like, okay, get this one down. Okay, now you can hit the black mage. Stop hitting the black mage. Okay, kill this one. Get that one. Kill this one. Kill them all.
I leave if it's Ifrit.
Hey, you know what?
I've never cleared Ifrit Extreme on Mentor Roulette.
Chelsea's toxic, so you know.
I've never done it. It's a total waste of time if you get Ifrit X.
Well, no, it's easier now because now the party can't accidentally push everything so fast to the point where Ifrit's like, fuck you, bitch.
It's not that. It's mostly like explaining the fact that healers have to fuck off from the party. That's just it's a foreign concept to Sprouts. Yeah. So.
Well, no, all I do is just mark northeast, southwest, and then I'm like, all right, so the healers go to C and D respectively. The party stays at A, and then you guys run to B. Just keep the healers on either side. You can reach all the heals all you want. No healer comes
It-
towards the party.
It's Sprouts.
I
It's
DC'd.
Sprouts.
Sorry, I missed everything.
That's
Oh, we're
okay.
just everybody.
It's unimportant anyways because Sprouts are Sprouts and they'll always be Sprouts.
Gotcha.
So
not Sprouts.
My question was, if people can do the ad phase on Moogle Mog stream, how come they can't do the ad phase on Lakshmi stream?
Right.
That one's more difficult because sometimes even when you go to kill the ad, the bubble just randomly disappears and then you kill the ad by mistake and you're like, well, fuck. Because that bubble is just...
There's a timer on the bubble.
Yeah.
No, there's not.
Yeah, there is. If you look, there's a timer on the debuff.
Oh, really?
I've never noticed.
Yeah, it jumps when it hits 0.
You learn something new now, Sif.
Yeah.
I haven't done the fight like since it first came out. Honestly. And back then I was trying to learn how to survive with slaying accessories.
My God.
Because remember they didn't have the strength on all the tank accessories then, so like all the tanks were running around with 270 slaying accessories. Like I'm a DPS now with no HP. Ah!
That was so bad. Have they
I had
said
to do-
anything about the damage, the tank damage?
It doesn't matter because you can't do you can't wear or can't meld main stat materia. They're completely getting rid of main stat materia, so it doesn't matter about the damage. It doesn't matter about materia melding because they're adding 2 accessory slots to all blue accessories now, anyways.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, going into this expansion, now we can actually say people don't need to worry about aggro. But if the tank fucks up the tanking mechanic, then that's a problem. That is the only feasible thing I see being a problem now.
I don't think the enmity generation is going to be as big as people are thinking it is. Simply because
not big, just safer.
Well, there's no aggro combos anymore, so there's no multipliers for the skills themselves. All the tank stance is going to do is going to make it so that the enmity generated by your skills is like 5 times the amount of what you would normally generate. So like you doing a 200 potency skill is going to be more like doing a 1000 potency skill.
Yeah, we'll have to see about that. I'm not sure because that one guy on that one post I did was like, and I was checking the vids from the media tour. They weren't having problems holding stuff, but at the same time, they were all like the same item level. So
yeah,
we'll see
it's gonna be different when like different item levels come around. Because like at the same item level, I can stay in tank stance and never have to use an aggro combo and be fine. But if I'm like 30 item levels or lower and I try and do that, I can't actually do it. I actually have to use like 1 or 2 aggro combos to get the aggro boost up.
Yeah, like
So,
running as a tank with lower gear now, like you have to actually work at keeping aggro, especially if you have people that know what they're doing. So mostly though, I haven't had any trouble in the leveling dungeons, even though I've been going like minimum item level into each leveling dungeon and I've been fine. You know, but that's because I kind of know what I'm doing already. So I see people. I go in on a caster, and I don't really do casters that often. I just go in and I just start doing the AOE rotation, and I'm like,
you know what?
Why the heck is this thing hitting me?
No. Since we're on the discussion of scrubs and poor little leaflets and everything like that, they need to add a minimum item level to all the leveling dungeons. Because this full fucking shit of just, you only need to be level 61 to get into the dungeon doesn't fucking work. The difference between the starting gear from when you hit level 70 to the first level 71 dungeon is going to be almost 80 eye levels. And it's going to be just a ridiculous time for players gearing up who just want to burn through the story.
But
they shouldn't allow
play the game with my friends.
No. I'm sorry. The level 61 dungeon I does drops I-260 gear. This guy was in I-200 gear trying to do the dungeon. That's bullshit. And the only reason he could get into that dungeon is because the only requirement to get into it was being level 61. Which means he somehow got through Belsier's Wall, which was minimum I level 230, but was dying to one hits at an I-255 dungeon.
Jesus.
Don't
Yeah,
they give you 260 gear like when you reach a certain point during the story?
they do give you a coffer, but at the same time, it's only one in the
I'm
story.
pretty sure.
Yeah, no.
Yeah.
The coffer at level 60 only gives you the I-200 artifact gear. That's it. They don't give you any other gear throughout the
I
story.
did get one that was Hailstorm.
Yeah,
That's
they give
230.
they give you. I'm pretty sure there's a coffer that gives you Shire gear.
I
Isn't there?
didn't get a Shire
No,
one.
no,
I
no.
don't think.
Only if you buy a level boost item.
Oh,
Yeah,
Oh,
I
Yeah,
did
yeah.
get.
Well,
the
yeah.
Shire.
If you're leveling naturally, you don't get the coffer. The only coffer you get is the one for doing your story quest that gives you the I-200 gear at level 60.
I
all
did get
right,
a
yeah.
Hellfire and Hailstorm set though. I got it for tanks because I already had gear. But
Also, if you're doing like quests, they also give you like armor through the MSQ quest.
yeah,
They do, yeah.
Yeah, but a lot of scrubs still don't understand the fact that it may be gray armor, but it's still better than your blue armor you're running around with. Because a lot of games, the item rarity actually has higher stats than like the lower rarity. So like if I had a white item
what
at
is
the
this, Diablo?
Yeah.
This is
Yeah.
Diablo.
Well, no, because that's a common thing. Like in a lot of
Yeah.
Korean MMOs, it's a common thing. When you have gray armor, it has low max base stats. But if you get a green armor that's the same item level, the green armor actually has higher max base stats. So there's a physical difference between the different rarities of the armor. This
Well,
game
that's
doesn't have that.
true.
Yeah.
Because if gray armor and pink or green or blue armor at the same item level, the pink or green or blue armor is going to be better. It's just that as you're going through the story, they give you HQ items that are better than the stuff that you can get in the dungeons.
Yeah, but some
Yeah.
players just don't realize that. Like the tank has still had like a level 50 I-115 accessory ring on. I was like, what the fuck are you wearing that for? Well, how do you even still have that on?
If it has a higher item level and it's HQ, take that. You want
I
it.
don't know.
I think the
know.
general consensus, and I think that more people need to stress, you need to like open your fucking eyes in this game. You need to read your tooltips. You need to do your research on your classes. You can't just like jump into the game and expect things to just go peachy keen, you know?
Unfortunately, people are raised to be that way now. I mean, I was just reading a forum post where a guy who it was something I saw on Facebook and decided to read the forum post. The guy created his account using a false ID, like a false email address, false information, but he used like his actual credit card. And then when he actually needed to cancel the account, he forgot all that information he submitted and he expected SC to fix it for him almost instantly and was bitching at everyone at the forums that the GMs weren't helpful and no one was helpful and everyone's kind of just looking at him like, you falsified your information. This is your own damn fault. You're going to get permabanned and there's nothing we can do to stop it.
That was quite not smart.
No.
Yeah. Also, by the way, I was watching an interview today by Yoshi P. This is going back to the armor and stuff. Someone did ask him a question about this particular thing, and he did say they were trying to address it in Shadowbringers. So there will probably be gear sets that you get going through the MSQ. He also said they wanted to address like the quest bloat, from like 2.1 and 2.5.
Yeah, I
So
saw
that's not
that
so
too.
long.
They want to. Honestly, a lot of those quests can just be turned into side quests. Like the whole like little tournament with some of the other characters at right after you beat ARR. I understand that it's supposed to be like a celebratory cooldown period before shit kicks into high gear again. But like that could just all be a side quest. You could just go straight into From the Maelstrom instead of going through all that bullshit.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I feel like the tower quest line you had to do that she wanted to be an Arcanist, but then she like failed at it. That could be a side quest.
That side quest in
that
particular,
needs to that honestly needs to be part of the main scenario, simply because a lot of the quests later on deal with her actually being an Arcanist.
I mean, I get it, but
It's character development on her end.
You know what my gripe is? This is my gripe. People complaining about quest bloat in this game, and I'm like, it's a game about the story.
it's just
Did you not expect this to happen? Like,
this game is created by Japanese people. It's created with a philosophy in mind, which is It's got story. It's got character investment
Well,
into it.
a lot of because like a lot of the main scenario quests, like the ARR quests, are built the way they are because they're introducing you to characters that will have relevance in the story later on. People don't seem
give a
to
shit.
understand that, and a lot of people just skip the story quest, and it's like,
No,
well,
people get mad about the Titan bloat quests. And ARR, you know, when you're leveling from 1 to 50, your first initial
Oh,
before
yeah,
you go
yeah,
to
the-
Titan,
Oh,
and
yeah.
you're gonna do the
The
banquet and
company
stuff.
of heroes.
And you gotta do all these fetch quests, and I'm like, oh man, this is pretty awesome. And then people are like, why do I have to do this?
well, no, because okay, so the relevance for that was back in 1.0, they were actually supposed to release Titan. Titan was actually supposed to be released. The problem was Japan got hit with the earthquake around the same time they were supposed to release Titan, and due to the way the storyline of Titan worked, it hit too close to home at the time. So they just scrapped Titan altogether. You can actually see the released cutscenes for all the Titan footage, and it actually deals with the story of those guys actually going to fight Titan, and then you stepping in the middle of it and saving all their asses. So like that quest is a recap of like how you save them, even though no one remembers your ass if you actually played back in 1.0.
Well, that's good then.
Yeah. There's a lot of history behind that quest line.
I'm just tired of people like complaining about it. I'm like, it was
Yeah.
not bad. Like,
I'm tired of people complaining all the time.
It's no different than any other quest line in this game. It's like, all right, go here. All right, now come back. Now go here. All right, now come back. Now go here. Now come back. But we're going to give you 10k experience for every time you teleport. Okay. Like, it's free XP. That's one of the things that like a lot of modern MMO players don't understand is that quests give you XP for just teleporting somewhere. Back in like the old school MMO days, you didn't get that. You'd get your quest, there'd be no reward for it, and you'd have to kill mobs endlessly to level up. Like I don't understand the whole philosophy of getting XP for just going from point A to point B without actually having to do anything in between.
it's fine.
It's fine, but like they could like increase the experience points from dungeons if they wanted.
I think the whole grind thing has been turned into dungeons is basically what it is. So they've given you
dungeons for tanks and healers, and then Palace of the Dead and Heaven on High for DPS.
Well, yeah. Now that's but back when a game first came out.
Yeah.
And then when the expansion hits, you can't do that to get from 70 to 80. You got to do the dungeons. So
yeah,
or fates.
Well, they nerfed fates pretty hard in Heaven's Horde and Shadowbringers. Like the XP grind from fates was just absolutely terrible.
I mean,
in
it
ARR,
was the bonus fates though, the bonus XP ones. Those are pretty good.
Yeah, but like at the start when you're doing it, there were so many people doing the fates that the fates got ridiculously powerful in comparison to like what they should have been.
Yeah, that's every X pack though.
But that's because people were stuck behind Raban.
We're like doing level 61 fates at 65, and they have like so much HP. We're like, oh my god, this is taking forever. Like some of those giant like boss fates, you kind of look at the health of the boss, you're like, that doesn't look right. This is like a raid boss or some shit. Holy fuck, it's taking forever to kill it.
I mean, isn't that what those are supposed to be? The area boss fates?
Yeah, but like when you're doing the fates normally, like with like the required number of people, the fates the fates have a normalized HP. But like due to the fact that Raban locked us behind content, there was so many people at the fate that the next time the fate spawned, it almost had like a 100 multiplier on top of it, just because there was that many people at the fate because there was nothing else to do, and we were doing like peanut damage to the fucking thing because we couldn't get gear either because all the gear was locked behind leveling progress.
Peanut. Sorry, I just wanted to say.
It's good.
So, we haven't really heard too much from Sora. Sora, you got something to get off your chest?
I have not been playing 14 Light at all, so no. I'm actually content. I don't really think I don't have anything to contribute that hasn't already been said. You know.
I know Jin hasn't been playing too much either, but do you have anything you want to get off your chest?
I guess I just want to go into this with a clean slate and just leave the past behind. But by past, I mean like all this toxic bullshit that
Okay, the toxic bullshit will always be there.
I know it's
You
gonna be there.
you will never escape it.
Yeah, it's gonna be a new version of whatever it's going to come out as. It's going to be, I don't know, Dancer Tether. Give it to me.
Dan.
Okay, I'm gonna tell you right now. Unless the DPS is a samurai, monk, or black mage, the dancer tether is going to be practically pointless.
Yeah.
What are you talking about?
The only other class that brings any substantial DPS increase now is fucking ninja.
Yeah.
You mean you do realize Machinist is a pure DPS too, right?
Well, that one, yeah. I keep forgetting Machinist is pure DPS now. But no one plays Machinist right now, so they're kind of like, eh.
It's also not released, like the 16 other jobs.
Yeah.
But no, like everyone was hyping up Dancer, and I'm like, it's not going to be meta. It's going to be a feed based class. That's all it is. It's going to be for your parse run. Just from the way you just looking at it, like the Dancer cannot bring that much utility to one player and still be able to maintain the DPS that a Bard can. A Bard is going to be lower than a Machinist, guaranteed. It has to be. Machinist is a pure DPS, being the pure DPS class, needs to have higher DPS than both Bard and Dancer. Bard needs to be the in-between now, and then Dancer needs to be the low DPS, high utility class. Now that we don't have to worry about Dragoon stacking and crit stacking on Bard, Bard's going to be nowhere near as powerful as it is.
Mm-hmm.
You say what kind of buff is it? Is it direct hit? It's just direct hit,
It's
right?
crit and direct hit.
Oh, okay. It's crit.
The Bard buff
from the
for
dancer.
The Dancer. Crit and direct hit.
Yeah,
but it's also
I don't know, man. Like
frequent.
Ninja's personal damage is low, but it's still meta. So
It's still meta.
It's still meta, but that's because it buffs the entire party for 10% base damage. Base damage buffs will always be better than crit direct hit damage buffs, especially one that's at 10%.
yeah, I mean it's pretty strong. I don't know. I think it'll be it'll be parse run stuff.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Yeah, it's going to be parse run base only, but for like an actual speed comp, I can't see it being meta.
Dancer has an ability called Saber Dance that's 30% crit and direct hit rate on one specific person. An ability called Technical Finish, which is 5% damage up for the entire raid.
Yeah, that's
and Standard Finish for damage up for one person that they're tethered to. And that 5% on one person is effectively permanent. So it's basically like a dragon sight that floats for the entire run. Dancer is bringing a fuck ton of raid utility.
Yeah, but to do those actual finishes, a Dancer actually has to sacrifice DPS.
Right, but 5% damage giving to somebody else for effectively the entire run on some jobs, that might just be worth it.
Right? Yeah, for like that's what I mean. For Black Mage, Samurai, and Machinist, and maybe Monk.
I mean,
Monk
enough to make
it is now.
Enough to make it meta if there's some relevant synergies.
Yeah.
Because Dragoon also still has Dragon Sight.
The way
that's two things you want to put on one person.
The way I see it, it makes it so that the crit direct hit meta is just not as important. It's just damage.
No, they nerfed crit to the ground. Like I'm pretty sure the crit calculations have changed completely.
It might have made Red Mage really good this time too.
You don't think crit's gonna scale?
I doubt that.
No, crit's still going to scale. But the reason why crit was so good in Storm's Blood and Heaven's War was because the amount of buffs applied to crit increased the scaling stupidly high.
Well, not so much Heaven's War, but definitely that was
definitely true. Yeah. And Stormblood, like Chain Stratagem, like the Bard, and then you had freaking
Chain Stratagem and the Bard's perpetual crit buff really changed how crit scaled. It started to scale a lot. What's the word? Higher than it normally would. Like, I don't think they changed. I don't think they made it so crit's inherent value increased from the jump between Heaven's Ward and Stormblood. Like, they didn't increase how strong it was. It's just because of the amount of abilities and jobs that got to interact with it, in conjunction with the amount of natural synergy that they have. Like, Bard and Dragoon are basically one job. Their kits mirror each other, right? Battle Voice and Battle Litany share the exact same cooldown. for a reason. That's not like a gimmick, you know what I mean? Disembowel and affecting Bard, like they knew what they were doing with that, and they did it on purpose. And then giving Scholar Change Stratagem with the outlier there that really pushed it into full swing. So, and to come back to with Dancer, like it's strong. I'm not even going to sit here and like bullshit you. Dancer could very well be a meta pick, very easily. The threshold between personal DPS contribution and the raw utility has always been a fine one to walk, right? Because if you end up in the situation what you're talking about, Sif, where Dancer just doesn't provide enough personal DPS to make up for the raw utility that it has, you end up in a situation where Red Mage was at the start of the expansion, right? Mm-hmm. But all it took was like a couple buffs to Red Mage's personal DPS for them to outshine Machinist for a very decent while. Sure, they were never at the same level as Black Mage or Summoner, but if we look at Red Mage's utility compared to what Dancer's bringing, it's not even close. Embolden does not compare to any of what Dancer's bringing, and all of it's on a 2-minute cooldown, which means it's gonna be up there with Trick, every odd numbered Trick. So you have to look at that sort of stuff. In a vacuum, I suppose you might be right, because it's true. To do your dances, you basically can't attack. But man,
well, I mean, what the technical finish is for GCDs, right?
Yeah,
like, that's.
I mean, it's a lot, but at the same time,
Dancer's natural potencies slightly make up for that. Like, you're burning 4 GCDs for a massive increase in damage for 1 or 2 people, but then you look at their actual potencies for the people they're buffing when they get all their like little fan stack shit, and you're like, those potencies seem stupidly high for a ranged class.
Yep.
I honestly expect Dancer to be like ridiculous for a little while.
It's either going to be really bad dancers.
well, no, there's going to be so many bad dancers.
It's either going to be really, really, really broken or really, really, really broken. Like really bad or really good. I don't see them balancing this job right the first time. I'll just say that.
I just see a bunch of people being like, "Oh, Dancer."
Well, Dancer's gonna go like one of 2 ways. It's going to be Start of Stormblood Astro, or not Start of Stormblood Astro, Start of Heavensward Astro, or Creator Astro.
Yeah.
Because Creator Astro was bullshit.
Yeah, it was.
I loved playing Creator Astro.
I didn't mind it.
Nah, that shit was broken.
That shit was super. Oh, you want damage? Here's a 20% balance. Oh, now you can increase. I can even double that to like 30% balance. It's like, what the
cards
fuck?
Were ridiculous.
It was strong.
It was so bad. No, the other buffs to the cards weren't bad. It was the buff to balance specifically. It's like, let's make it a 20% solo. It's like, are you high?
I get why they did it, right? Nobody was playing Astro.
Are you high?
Its raw healing utility was just nowhere near White Mage's, but at the same time,
that was the point.
Yeah, well, no, then they nerfed like the damage that like Creator actually did in comparison to what Midas did, and it's like, well, now the raw healing really doesn't matter.
Well,
I think they
arguably
said that they wanted people to get into raiding, so they made a more accessible raid tier compared to the previous 2.
Well, after Pepsi Man fucked everyone's day.
The thing about
Creator
that
was
And Gavel.
they also wanted people to just play Astrologian because it was not well played and well represented in Heavensward. It's even in the end, right? Creator Astro was broken, but it was broken because they wanted people to play it.
Yeah.
A lot of people are playing it now, and God forbid you tell them that Ewer and Spire and Bull and all the other ones are useless.
Still doesn't even compare to freaking White Mage.
Do you think the APM on Astro is going to increase, or is it going to
I got something to get off of my chest.
No, the APM for Astro is going to increase greatly.
All right. What's your chest?
I'm getting tired of you astrologians in the YouTube comments of every FF7 video, FF14 video that I see bitching about your goddamn cards.
Yep.
Let the job come out, and then we'll bitch about it.
And
I don't
you
know why
see-
they're bitching. The card system's going to be a lot easier than it is now, because now you won't have to be like,
I need
I'm
my
stuck with a fucking ewer.
I
Is
need
it
my
hard?
bull
Is it
to protect
easier?
the tank.
Is it easier though?
You're gonna have to pay way more attention to it now than
Yeah.
it's gonna be way more like.
That's why I was like, the APM's actually gonna increase, right? Because you actually have to use the card.
I
and
just
you
lost
need
viewers with that, so maybe I shouldn't have said that.
All right.
Here's the thing, though. Like, I get it. I get it. Your whole idea of Astrologian is gonna be different now, but let's play the job. Let's see how it goes before we're just up in arms switching to white
Guy
mage.
is following.
Well, I think the switch for the cards is good because like a lot of the times Astros would draw cards and like it'd be like, oh, just throw it away, fuck it, it's useless.
I mean,
Yeah.
Like Toasty can attest to that. She throws away a ton of
really-
cards sometimes.
it's pretty hard for a card to be
I mean,
used
minor
now
arcane is the thing.
because
It's
minor
not-
arcana exist.
Yeah.
It fucking
even
sucks that you
even
get
even
a-
the even the Arcanas have changed now to make it like more balanced for the Astros.
Look,
it's like,
I
oh,
mean,
cool.
all your
Super
cards,
super card for range DPS, super card for melee DPS.
all your cards are going to
The
go
problem
through
with-
seals in an order.
The problem
Never
is
mind.
once you get your 3 seals, you're just minor arcanaing everything.
Yeah. I mean, it's on a cooldown.
No, well, the seals only last.
Divination
15
is
each-
one of
each-
us is a 3-minute cooldown, right? And draw is a 30-second cooldown. So
Yeah,
you very likely will get your seals rather early, and then you're
No,
just minor
don't-
arcanaing everything and
They
shooting.
only last 15 seconds, don't they?
The cards last.
Yeah,
15
that's the
seconds.
problem.
Yeah, the
The
cards
cards
only
last
last.
But the
15
seals-
seconds. The only difficulty in the job right now, as it stands, is the fact that you have to get the seals out before all the party buffs go out. That's the only difficulty. You're having to like quickly between your GCDs make decisions and throw the cards without clipping potentially. I mean, I don't. It's going to be really tight for gamepad players especially, but
We don't know the
it's
exact
doable.
value of the rotation though, because it hasn't come out. The jury's still out on whether or not divination getting all 3 seals is something that you'll have to do before your opener, especially if RNG comes into play. Because sleeve draw does refresh your redraw, whatever that shit is called, the redraw
The
charges.
draw.
Charges.
Yeah.
Oh,
It
it
was-
does.
Yeah, it refreshes the
Wait, wait.
redraw charges, so you can
Does
keep.
does draw have charges now?
No, just redraw.
Oh, okay.
Draw is a set 30 seconds.
Redraw is like you're like, hey, give me another card.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Dude, again.
So you could, with sleeve draw, you can essentially refish for another chance to get sleeve draw. Not sleeve draw, charges and the seals, whatever that's called. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
And then it goes back on cooldown, or draw will be on cooldown, which is good because if draw had, well, I don't know how I would feel if draw had
How-
charges. I don't really think that would change anything.
How do the
That might be
seals
broken,
work?
actually.
Is it you put them in? You
use
So
Use it.
each of the 6 cards has one of 3 seals on it. 2 seals per card, one for magic or one for ranged, one for melee. So
Yeah.
basically, you want to you want to have 3 different seals on the field. So when you use your AOE 6% AOE damage boost buff,
But
it's
how do you
6%
save this?
instead of 3%.
So let's say you get 2 seals and then you draw and you get a set that's you draw and redraw and you get a set that's the same seals that you have. You minor arcana that right there. You don't use it as it is because if you use it as it is, then you'll put it in your divination bar as having 2 of the same seals and you won't get the full benefit from divination.
Oh.
So that's one
But
way
wait,
you're going to end up using.
if you're
minor arcana,
using the card, if you save the seal by using cards, like, are you not using your card every time? Then? Like, what?
No.
you're using it if you need the seal, and then if it gives you the same exact seal, you minor arcana it for more damage, but you also don't get the seal. That's
Yeah.
the RNG value in it now. Like,
Oh,
how
okay.
fast can you get the seals for divination? And
I
if
haven't
you
really
do it,
looked
then
too
you're
hard
just going to
into it.
keep. It's basically minor arcana if you get all 3 seals, or minor arcana until you get all 3 seals.
Mhm.
Like that's really how it is. The optimization is how fast can we get all 3 seals on pull
Yeah.
and like for openers.
Yeah, yeah.
Exactly.
It's going to be okay. How fast?
Yeah,
Instead of getting like, is RNG on my side now for the whole run, and can I get a bunch of spread balances? To is RNG on my side, and how fast can I get my 3 seals?
If it's
Yeah.
feasible, I'm sure there will be an opener that requires it. If it's not, then they'll just use it as it is because I think at base damage it's 3%.
Yeah.
So it's still going to be used, and it's a 180-second cooldown, so you can't hold it for too long. So we'll see. It all really depends on how openers shape up. I don't think things are going to change that much because Trick Attack is virtually exactly the same. So
That's a mistake.
I'm surprised.
Well, it's either eliminate Ninja's identity or keep it
Trick Attack is not Ninja's identity.
Yes,
this.
Yes, it is.
Fundamental with this.
It's the meta's identity.
no, that is definitely Ninja's identity. It used to be Trick and Ebony, but now it's just Trick.
No, it's just Trick.
Now it's make sure you use your shadow clone, Naruto.
Anyway.
I thought Ninja's identity was the whole jutsu bullshit. Now everyone's just like, nah, it's just Trick.
The jutsu is only a means to an end called Trick Attack.
I mean, when you have 3 expansions basically 3 expansions completely revolving around one fucking skill, there's a problem with the skill.
I mean, at that point, right? We could remove
Let's just-
Trick.
We're not going to.
Who's to say they're not going to give us something else, right? We have 4 melee, so one
We
of them is
cannot-
going to have to.
The thing is, we cannot ignore the fact that 3 of the melees, up to 4, are just Unga Boonga, and Ninja's still kind of like the one that needs to be like. You need to think about it.
Are you saying Ninja is Keanu Reeves?
Yes.
Oh shoot!
All right, so
I
this is
mean,
Ninja is chosen one.
This
Yes.
is probably the controversial part of the podcast because when you talk about Trick Attack, right, there are certain rites of passage that I think certain jobs get in this game, and Ninja's probably the best example of that sort of thing. Trick Attack is broken. There is no arguing that, right? Getting rid of Trick Attack would just cause more problems because then the argument becomes Monk is the only other melee that increases damage for the raid, and Brotherhood is good for the DPS that we have, and it also does a lot of damage. So Monk is the one that always gets the slot. There's 4 of them, right? How do you balance? You can't balance them the same way you balance casters, where there's 3 of them in 1 slot. There's 4 melee in 2 slot.
well, I think my only issue with Trick is the fact that I'm speaking just from Stormblood's length. Is like you have Monk came very close to edging Ninja out the last patch. Like during Sigmascape, Monk came very close to actually completely destroying Ninja's place in the party simply because they pushed the damage up so high for Monk.
As a result of the community, not so much the devs, though.
Yeah, but I know, and for Chardnook, you only wanted to bring a Bard for Chardnook. Triple melee on Chardnook was broken as shit.
It was.
I mean,
It's fucking hilarious. It's not saying much, but no, even in God Kefka, triple melee worked pretty well actually too. Like I did a triple melee God Kefka, it worked pretty well.
I'm nowhere near the best comp. I'm gonna say that right now. Machinist is the better. Like, no, you would run out of MP trying that as a healer. I'm saying that right now. You'd run out of MP trying God Kefka without double ranged.
But no, like it's just the issue with Stormblood was just if you were gonna do Bard Machinist, it's like, well, just bring the Dragoon and then Ninja's there by proxy. I mean, you could replace Ninja with Monk, because the Monk actually buffed the Bard Machinist DPS, but a Monk doesn't buff caster DPS or healer DPS at all, which was why Ninja edged it out in the end.
Well, it's because Black Mage got buffed to shit at the very end.
Fucking Black Mage is broken bonkers.
Well, if healer's kit's been repurposed so they can heal more, they don't have a fucking say in the matter anyway.
Healer's DPS kit's been neutered into the ground, but for
they
good
don't have a
reason.
say on anything anymore, so it doesn't matter if we have Trick Attack or not.
No, it hasn't.
Shut up.
So
Not as much.
Astro's kit is virtually the exact same, and it was
Shut
doing
up.
damn near more damage than White Mage.
Shut up.
I don't know why you.
The point
That
is,
is
and
simply
Yoshi
not
said it. This expansion.
They just made it dumbed down, but
Okay,
healer
it's dumbed
DPS
out.
still.
But there is going to
Well,
be heals.
I mean, for scholars, it kind of needed to be dumbed down because they had a lot of shit. Although I don't
true.
like the removal of energy drain, because now what are they going to use their lustrate or their aether flow stacks on other than healing skills?
Jin, what
Sacred
were you
Sword.
gonna say?
To answer your question, it's Sacred Sword.
I'm just happy if this expansion goes out the way that the Yoshi intended it, that it's going to be skill based. I'm all for it, and it better be for skills based. No more fucking leaning on other people to do your damage.
I'm sorry. If you bring a shitty ninja into your party
Was
just to
that
have a
ever the case?
What?
I mean, was
Did they
that
get-
ever the case? Have the jobs ever been so good that them just being there? I mean, aside from the Dragoons disembowel, has it ever been that way?
The point is, we are no longer going to be leaning on other classes to do our damage.
You never
I
leaned
mean,
on other classes.
Bards or not? Bards and machinists aren't, but
Yeah. No, okay.
the rest of the jobs have never had that issue in the first place.
Here's one thing. When we're talking about meta, we're talking 95 percentile or higher. Because if you, as a ninja, cannot deal, if you're a ninja or running in a group with an 80 percentile parse versus everyone else's like 90, 95, 99 percentile parse, you might as well just bring a monk. In that case,
I mean,
more damage.
The real statistic is like this. You could be the greatest ninja in the world, but if you're in a party full of gray percentile everythings, you're not doing anything. Your trick attack is not being used to its fullest potential. It's worth nothing, right? And the same thing could be said about Brotherhood and every other buff, but Brotherhood doesn't, in Monk's rotation, right? Brotherhood naturally flows into it. Whereas Ninja's trick attack is built around the raid. Brotherhood isn't necessarily built around the raid. Like
No,
you can
Brotherhood's for the monk. It's just
Exactly.
the benefit of giving everyone else a small buff.
Exactly, and that's true of every other damage buff in the game, right? Emboldened, you could use it for yourself. If your party is booty, use it for yourself, right? Dragon Sight, it just needs to be on somebody, and you're good, right? But Trick Attack, that's not how that works. You don't apply Trick Attack and then do damage and expect the Trick Attack to have the same value as those other abilities.
Yeah.
Trick Attack is either the best raid buff or it's the worst one. It just depends on who you're playing it with and who's piling it in. And I think
the best example I have for that was we had a bard in our party who was getting pissed off that we weren't running with a dragoon, but he was only a 60 percentile bard anyways, and we're kind of looking at him like, you can't even hit 90 percentile without a dragoon. Why the fuck would we bring a dragoon just to buff your damage?
Are you talking about who I think you're talking about when you were doing
Raiden? Did I name him?
No, not right. No, not Raiden. It was
No doxing.
No, when we were doing Delta Scape, I forget his name because I forget because that's how forgettable he was.
The point is, I'm trying to make is, I think if the meta has to be anyway, I'm fine where Ninja is in it, only because you have to be good for that to matter.
Yeah.
Like that's the
reality.
But
when we're talking meta, like meta doesn't matter unless you're good to begin with.
Exactly.
True, but there's also a skill ceiling for that to matter too, right? Within that meta.
So
Trick Attack requires your whole group to be good, not just you.
This is I was just saying, like, this is probably a good cutoff point. We can discuss this further later. What I would like to talk about is so next week we're probably not going to do an episode because we are going to be in balls deep in early access.
We can do an episode when they bring out the patch notes.
Patch notes.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
On
Let's
Thursday.
do an episode. Yeah, let's do an episode after the patch notes.
That's a great idea.
Patch notes will have all the official job changes and all the actual potencies.
That would be Thursday night or afternoon.
Yeah, Thursday evening. So we can do that, and that sounds fine.
Depends on how late you want to or how early you want to do it, because people might want to get sleep.
All right.
No, because we have all of the 27th. The 27th, the fucking entire game is done on the 27th. Like it's a full day
no,
of nothing.
but you're not gonna sleep because it's
I
4 o'clock in the
work
morning when the
I work
servers
at
come up.
5 a.m. in the morning. I don't get to do early access.
Well, guess what? You're the exception.
So I get to miss the first 8 hours of you fucks dealing with server issues. So when I get into the game, hopefully all that shit will be done.
He's right.
I probably should be able to do alarm clock.
Little does he know,
I get.
become what you must.
Jesus.
The sad thing is like I'm looking at the server populations on Aether data center. I'm like, well, there's no server I can go to that could actually log in and not have a queue. So I'm just gonna stay on Gilgamesh in like a fucking in my fucking house.
Hey, get ready for them to boot people off who are AFKing.
No, they're totally turning that back on.
Oh yeah, for sure.
The
Anyway,
maintenance is going to force you on your server when you log off, so you can't log off on another server.
Oh, that's good.
Reggie.
we will be.
It's not good to log off on another server.
Hey, Reggie.
We'll attempt to do patch notes on Thursday, as long as it's not too late. And then Friday, I'm
wake up early.
pretty sure Scythe will be streaming. I will be streaming. Aaron Hellfire, our bard, is going to be streaming.
Maybe.
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 And then the week after, I think it would be a great idea if we got some of our viewers involved in the podcast to tell us what they have enjoyed most about week 1 of Shadowbringers.
I am not going to be a part of that one because I will most likely shit on everybody.
Jesus.
He'll be here.
What?
You'll be here. In spirit.
I'm hardly ever at these things simply because I'm so fucking tired when I get home. I pass out on my bed and just sleep through everything.
I'm an
You
old
should go
man
do that
too.
now.
Huh?
Go back to bed now.
Anyway,
Wait.
I also want to bring up, you're going to be probably glued to your computer, your PS4. Make sure you're stretching those wrists, okay? You're
yeah.
If you get pain in your fingers, it's most likely not arthritis. It's just overuse. So make sure you're stretching and you're drinking lots
it's
of
just
water.
carpal tunnel.
And
Nursed him.
Get snacks, including fruit.
I get that. I get that in my wrist every night, Reggie. Is there a problem?
Yes.
You're whacking it too hard.
That one.
Preferably prepare dinner like the night before for like the next
meal
day.
prep shadow.
No. Here's what you
Yes.
It's not raid time yet.
If you are alarm clocking for raid, for early access, or for anything, this is what you do: 24 case of bottled water. Have it at your side at all times, so you have a good water intake. Fruits, vegetables, and healthy food snacks. No chips, no soda pops,
Catheter.
no energy drinks. Those
Yeah.
will actually destroy your entire livelihood trying to play this game.
Install a urinal in your bedroom.
I
Forget
mean,
No,
that.
no,
I'm just
you
gonna have some.
No, you don't
Chex
need that. You have the empty water bottles you've been drinking. You just
Okay.
repurpose those.
Okay.
Oh
No.
my god. Okay.
Don't recycle them properly. Don't.
Well, no, if you're gonna recycle them, just empty them out onto the lawn after, and then put them in
Just admitted
recycle
he
bin.
fits inside a water bottle.
I mean,
So-
it's not hard to put the hole at the tip inside of a water bottle and go. Every guy's done it at least once.
Oh, excuse me.
I've never done that. Watch your fucking.
Well, then you haven't lived. You haven't lived.
You don't. You've never driven a truck for a living.
I've not driven a truck for a minute.
Jabe knows what I'm talking about.
James' route just has like milk jugs of piss, just like all along his road
No,
there.
I do
Well,
not do that. I see those on the side of the road. I'm like, that guy is a menace to society. I do not do that.
Oh my god, that is the funniest thing you've ever said.
Oh, no, 'cause when you're driving a truck long distances, sometimes you get through some brutal stretches of road, and you're just like, "Well, I can't pull over anywhere."
It's
and
not-
That
not
happened
hard.
to me once.
It's not hard. Like if you got to pull over and you got to take a whiz in a jug, you can save it because you should have a big one.
Why
Like,
not just-
don't have a small one.
I've actually done it as a female driving a stick shift. It is possible.
That's
as a
impressive.
woman. And I
That's-
didn't
I mean-
know.
It's
I
like
never knew this
You
about
can say it's.
Yeah, I was
I
driving
mean-
to Michigan.
Toasty,
But,
Reggie's just learned new
side
things about
note,
Toasty he's
side
never
note.
known before.
Yeah, so
We do not advise peeing into a jug while you're driving. That's not a good idea.
I did it.
While you were driving?
Why are you telling us this?
While I was driving a stick shift too.
Wait, hold on. So
Cut
what?
that
Did
off.
you have to
Cut
like
that off
lift
and
your
sing.
body while you like stepping on the gas and kind of position yourself?
I like
Did you turn on cruise control so you didn't have to worry about the
Please.
gas pedal?
Yeah, I put on cruise control. And
Okay,
then I just
that's
kinda, like,
better.
pulled my pants down.
Please cut this
and,
off for
like,
the
stuck
stream, please. We don't
Stuck
want to.
it underneath the pants thing, you know.
So,
if
Reggie,
you know where your
is
pee
this the
hole
story
is,
that
it's
made you
easy.
chew her?
Reggie's just completely like, what the
He's
fuck
like-
am I dating?
He's like, what?
I am
Reggie,
marrying you.
Guess that's
I'm
how
a
this
woman of
needs
many
about.
talents.
That's how you
Pissing
clench the. That's how you clench him to put the ring on it. You got
Yeah.
peeing skills.
Oh,
Oh.
God.
I can't even drive stick, and she's doing it while pissing. This is ridiculous.
how does it feel to be emasculated, Sora?
I can't complain. I cannot. You win.
You win.
That'll be your.
It's
There'll
not,
be your ace
it's
in the
not that
hole.
hard to learn how to drive a stick.
But while pissing?
Well,
You're,
I mean,
you're a
as long as
terrible
she's on-
astrologian.
as-
Oh yeah.
As,
Oh
as
yeah.
long as she's on a decent stretch of highway that doesn't require any like
Yeah.
changing of the gears or any turns or anything like that, she's
God.
perfectly fine. So the only
It
thing
was
she has to
Indiana,
do,
it was pretty
is-
much all straight.
yeah, she just drives straight, lifts her body up a little bit, pisses in a bottle, and goes on her way.
Yeah.
All right, this is getting raunchy.
It's easier for a guy, admittedly, but I mean, a girl doing it is extremely impressive.
This has nothing to do with the podcast anymore. We just said that.
Dude,
Well, hold
when you're in the
That-
with the,
Wait. Here's the question, Toasty. Did it have a large opening or a tiny little opening?
It was
Okay.
a Gatorade
Oh my
bottle.
god.
Don't
Okay,
answer
that
him.
makes it easier. That makes things more sense. Well, no, because like if she's trying to do it with a little water bottle, like one of those standard openings, I was like, how the fuck do you fit it in the right spot?
Guy.
We have smaller pee holes than men do, actually.
Don't use like.
Laugh and cry. We are
Hey,
family.
hey.
guy.
Don't use like a little water bottle. That's not advisable anyways, because you're just gonna have to empty it really quick. You
Oh
get
my
a
God.
jug.
That's
You
true.
know?
You need to end this podcast right now.
I'm just saying.
Just hit off.
I think Reggie turned the podcast off when we
No,
started
it's-
talking about.
No, it's
Water
still
bottle.
going.
Oh, okay.
Yep, watching my viewers go away.
And just save it until you get to a rest stop, you
We
know,
have
or
kids watching this thing.
find like a rural area and just like dump it in the grass, you know.
I would have preferred to know this.
Or
and
just
gentlemen-
piss in the grass.
I mean, okay, so
Well,
in,
no, you
in
can-
my
you can get
defense,
over-
no,
because you can get arrested for
Yeah, you can get arrested.
in my defense,
but
I
dumping
would
your
have
fucking
pulled
piss-
over. I would have.
You're
pulled
not
over,
showing your body parts if you do that.
But
I mean,
it
don't
was all
hide yourself.
flatlands with nothing around to like
Yeah.
block
So-
my view, and I could not wait.
You got to remember, Sora, like state laws are really retarded. There's actually one state, I forget which one it was, that is illegal to actually spit against the wind.
Okay.
I was
my
like,
God.
that's the most fucking retarded fucking law I've ever heard in my life, and you can get fined for like $80 for spitting
Oh.
against the wind. I was
Okay.
like, what?
Again.
You just reminded me of the SNL Chad. Okay.
I'm trying to figure out what's the point. I'm all right. Shit. Go ahead. Piss in a bottle and walk around a corner and sip it up with some shit. I don't know.
You play FF14
No, no,
so
no.
bad.
Here,
Oh
if,
yeah.
if you hate someone
yeah?
so much, piss in an apple juice bottle and hand it to them after you've put it in
Ew!
the
What the
yeah.
fuck is wrong with
I would
you? That's nasty.
What
Anyway.
movie was that? Oh no, it was a show.
Anyway.
No, that was in Dumb and Dumber.
No.
Dumb and Dumber, when he pissed in the beer bottle, and then the cops like, give me that beer, and then he drank the beer bottle.
Oh yeah, but there was a show
Oh,
that
yeah.
they did that too. It's called The Last Man on Earth, and he's like, could have just put a label cow urine. Sorry.
Well, Toasty, when anybody questions your gaming skills, you can be like, "Oh yeah, well, can you, as a female, piss in a jug while driving down the road on it with a stick shift?"
I don't think
bar.
any man can answer that
Trying to
question
figure out
unless he
why-
identifies as a female.
Why are you-
That is the bar.
why are you over here worried about
That is the bar. I have set the bar.
the ass
Oh
changes
my God.
giving you a lot to press and go through on your freaking rotation when you can piss and drive stick at the same time? What's going on here?
They're gonna be like,
You
"You're
can
not
do it.
doing that right." I'm gonna be like, "But can you?"
Oh
You know
yeah,
what?
yeah, I could do that and whistle. Oh,
You know what we should do? We should do a meme. We should do a meme Savage run where everyone plays a different fucking job than they normally used to.
I've been
Like-
saying we should do shit like that for the longest time.
Yeah, like I don't know, have like me and Sora as healer. No,
Yeah,
Sora
okay.
heals offhanded.
Oh
No,
My
me and
God,
Jin.
I
Me and
would
Jin.
pay good money for Sifty.
Me and-
Oh.
I'm not bad.
Okay.
so anyway, bringing it back. Sif and Sora made a good point. Make sure you eat
We
fruits
did?
and vegetables. You also want to make sure that you're getting some sort of protein, and just make sure you're taking care of yourself, okay? Because you don't want to get sick when you're playing a video game. It's embarrassing.
Believe it or not, it's okay to put the controller down for like a minute and drink some water.
Yeah,
Hey,
you're
man,
blocked
it ain't
by-
going
Not
nowhere.
correct.
Yeah,
If
you're
you
going nowhere.
no,
Jake.
if you're blocked by Red Ultimate. The best time to actually eat is when you're watching a stupidly long cutscene and you don't want to miss any of your story. Just fucking watch your cutscene, eat your food. You don't need to press the button. Just turn on the automatic play option. If you guys don't know how to do that during the cutscene, hit your space bar. A little menu will pop up, and you're like, "Oh, do you want to turn on automatic play?" And you go, "Yes."
Okay.
But I use controller.
Well,
Alright.
fuck you. Hook a key. You have a keyboard on your laptop, and if you're on a
Reggie.
PS4, fucking use your
There's
little.
There's a series of buttons you
All
can
right,
push
all
on
right.
your controller that does the same thing.
So
So
make
much easier on a PC.
So make sure you're taking care of yourself, and we will see you. We will try to see you for patch notes. Okay. Thank you for coming and watching us. We appreciate
Bye.
you, and we'll see you all next week. This has been a
I'll see you
Misfortunate
in your
podcast,
dreams.
episode 9.
Sif, please.
Have a great day.
Peace out.
We have 9 of these?